Welcome to Scott Bryce and Beyond the Service. Tonight we're going to talk about moving and the transitions that we experienced as a family with the life of a Secret Service agent. Now, a lot of people in the military know exactly what I'm talking about because they move around a lot. And then, of course, the guys that get deployed, they're gone for 6, 9, 12 months, whatever it is. So their experiences are really significant in one way because they're gone for long periods of time and they have to move around. I've never been deployed for 6 months at a time. I've been gone for like just over a month, which is a long time too. But the Secret Service lifestyle is kind of death by 1,000 paper cuts. You might be gone for 2 days here, a week there. So it's just like it's always moving, but it's over a course of 25 years. And I'm not trying to do the old Mount Everest thing like my career was harder than yours, because I would say that it probably was not. I think the life of a military person is very hard, especially a combat veteran. So my hat tip to you boys and girls for doing that, because I love my military people and I wish I would have done it. I would have loved to have been in the military and tried to be a SEAL or a Special Forces guy or something like that. I don't know if I would have made it through. I'd like to think that I would have, but we will never know because I never even joined the military. So I love the troops and I love our country, and I've served in my own way, and by no means am I trying to poo-poo on any of that, because that's apples to oranges. What I want to talk to you tonight about is, maybe you're in a situation in your life where you're trying to think about a career change or moving, and I'm just going to tell you what I did. It worked for me. It may not work for you. So let's just jump into it. I started, first of all, I have an education degree from Appalachian State. I was a December grad, so I taught school for 6 months. Starting off at a middle school in January was a loser. If I would have started off at a high school, I probably would have been a high school teacher. But starting off in January at a middle school kind of ruined me. Plus, I already had the bug to become a Secret Service agent. So did that for a little while. Then I was a cop for 2 years, and then I finally got on with service. It took me about 2.5 years to get that process going. I was lucky enough to start in my hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina, and then I bounced around quite a bit, more than I thought that I would. I thought I was going to go to DC and come right back. Ha ha, joke's on me. I went to DC, and from DC, I ended up going to London, England, which was awesome. One of my children doesn't feel that way, but I enjoyed that time. It was good memories with the kids. They were little, and it was a good time. From London, I came back to DC and that's when I did some surveillance stuff. Then I got promoted, and then that sent me to New York on a TDY. Family's still in Virginia. I was in New York. Back to DC after that, Hawaii, and then North Carolina. But during all of those moves, and even before I got on the job, I can remember being a police officer, and I really wanted the job really bad. I know the divorce rate is really high because the guy that did my home interview, he's like, the divorce rate on PPD is like 75%. I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to get divorced. I don't want to, there's no job worth that, right? So I was always very careful how I prayed. I still am. I think we have to be careful what we ask for. Like I very rarely ask God for patience, because he might give you something to make you patient. I heard a sermon when I was 15. I know I've said this before, but you don't have to understand it. You just have to accept God's will. So I ask the Lord to give me discernment, and I ask for acceptance. I don't have to understand it, and I don't have to like it, which a lot of the times I don't, if I'm being honest. There's been times when I shake my fist in anger at God, and of course repent for that. But I don't recommend yelling at your father too much. But I have done that, and you may have too. But anyway, I always ask for his will to be done. And I can remember being in my patrol car one night, and I was like, Lord, you know my heart, because he knows your heart. And I'm like, you know my heart, I really want this job, but I don't want it if that's not what you want from me. And it must have been his will, because I got it, I did it. I spent 25 years doing that job. I believe that I have a very healthy marriage. My wife and I, like anybody else, we've had ups and downs. It's just married life, right? I married a godly woman. I outkicked my coverage when I married her. She's full of love and joy and grace, and I love her so much. And she gave me 3 wonderful children that I also love dearly. So my kids don't hate me. I'm not divorced. So I did just enough right, God, by God's grace, of course. But I always believed in trying and I don't want to come across like holier than thou, because I'm not. That's not the point. I'm not like, look at me. No, dude, I'm jacked up. What I'm saying is, when it came to making big life decisions, I always prayed about it, and I always try to get input from the family when they got old enough. Like a team vote, mom and dad had the final veto power, but I tried to gauge the family's interest, and I always was very cognizant of their ages. Like moving to, when I took the job and started having kids, and I knew I was going to go to D.C. because that's what I wanted to do. That's the whole point of taking this job, was to go to protect the president of the United States, and so I did that. So I knew at some point we were going to have to move to the D.C. area, and I thought that I would do 5 to 10 years and come back. Well, I just told you what I did. So the kids were little, and that was fine. So we kind of knew that was going to happen. But all this other stuff, we weren't really sure, like the London thing and all that other stuff. So we prayed about it. Elizabeth and I talked about it. And then, of course, we didn't really didn't really let the kids weigh in on that one because they were little. But we prayed about it, and it came to fruition. So I felt like it was God's will. The only thing that I ever probably maybe felt the most guilty about, because we all did that together, is I felt a little guilty when I got promoted and went to New York, because I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if I prayed about it. I guess I did. I don't know. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I just know I wanted to get promoted really bad, and I felt like I had worked really hard, and I wanted to, for the first time in my life, I felt like I was chasing the carrot, is what we used to call it, chasing the carrot. I felt guilty, like maybe I put my job or my desires above my family's. I don't know that I did that. Hopefully I did not. But for the first time in my career, I felt like maybe I screwed up, because I didn't think I'd get it. I didn't think I was going to get it. I had bid on 87 spots and been told no 87 times. So I bid on this PPD New York spot, and I'm like, I'm not getting that. And I got it. So I don't know how much I prayed about it. I just don't remember. That was in 2016. I just don't remember. I'd like to think I prayed about it like a good little Christian, but I might not have. I might have just rolled the dice on that one. I just don't remember. But like I said, I felt guilty when I got it, because I had to leave. I had one kid in college, and I had one, I think was a senior, and one was maybe a sophomore, freshman. So I can't remember the ages, but definitely in high school. And I felt really guilty for leaving. I felt like I left them behind. And I felt guilty about that. But I tried not to be gone more than 2 weeks at a time, 2 or 3, sometimes maybe 3, but I tried not to. I would talk to myself about, like, well, I'm just on a trip. But it felt weird because they were living in Virginia, and I was living in this stupid apartment by myself in New York. And it felt lonely, really lonely. And I felt like I had failed them and myself. And I felt like for the first time, the job got the best of me. But anyway, I don't know that they felt that way. I'd be interested to see what they think. I hope that that's just in my head. Maybe that's a sign of a guilty conscience, because I cared, and I don't, I don't think I didn't do it intentionally, for sure. But anyway, we survived it. And that's because of a strong marriage and strong relationship with my children, and because we are all believers in the Lord Jesus Christ. And so that's, in my opinion, what got us through that and all the other things. So anyway, I just think the point to this message is, one thing I didn't say, sorry, is I also tried to leave the job like 4 times. Twice for Chick-fil-A, swinging a miss, and then twice for the CIA. Oh, sorry. Come on. Yeah, it's my buddy, my little shadow. He's a beta. He can't help it. He needs to be with his daddy. I know. Be quiet for 1 minute. And so I tried to leave the job a couple times, 4 times, and it just didn't work out. So I knew I was in where God wanted me. And here's my litmus test. If I don't want to do something, God's probably wanting me to do it. Kind of in that situation now, and I don't mean that to sound pretentious or weird, but because I do like the job that I have right now. I really like it a lot. I just thought that at this point in my career, or my age, after retiring from the federal government, I thought every day was going to be Saturday, and I was going to be playing on my tractor. I didn't know I was still going to be working. So I know He's got me where He wants me, and I'm good with that. So I don't mean that to come across weird. I'm just trying to be honest. So I just think that put God first. If you're a believer, I would highly recommend that. And if you're not a believer, I would try to become one. And put your family second, and then maybe put your professional career or yourself third or fourth or whatever the case may be, and you just can't go wrong.